Migos have just dropped Culture 3. It has been anticipated for years and it has finally come. I mean, listen, I have been waiting for this album for such a long time. There was so many rumors of different collaborators. Apparently, they were going back to an old style production. And guys, before we actually get into this episode, let us know your thoughts on the album. And regardless of ours, tell us how you feel about it, because it's always nice to contact you guys and, to get back and forth and to see what you guys are feeling. And guys, just to kind of explain to you how we do reviews here, I mean, it's a bit different. So basically, we have different categories. We go from artist performances, we have features, content, production, instant replay value, and instead of basing it on a numerical value, we basically go through different sentiments. So starting off at bad, mid, good, amazing, and then perfect. So, we yet have to give a perfect score this year. And we've been lenient with our reviews. We've gotten some good albums. So, Lou, let me know your expectations going into this project.
Man, I was so hyped. I mean, any time that the Migos are, returning, especially after 3 years of being quiet, I mean, this was the return and the comeback album that I wanted. Maybe, more than I wanted Logic to come back on No Pressure. Like, I was really rooting for them to drop, their best project since Culture. And I just got a mixed bag.
Okay.
That's how I have to start it off with.
Yeah, okay. So explain to me, if we have to start with the artist performances, this is good. This is a good place to start, just because, there's two different sides of the spectrum you could look at. But, we chose to give our review of it. So, what were your, let's say, standouts throughout the performances?
I do like the fact that the flow switches came, so often from verse to verse. And not only that, but like, there seemed like there was cohesion between the three Migos in the sense that it felt like they were together at every studio session, actually putting an effort into making the song sound whole. And that's the vibe that you got. Nothing seemed like it was, okay, plug this verse here and let me put that one there. No, it all seemed cohesive. The deliveries were really solid. Some flaws, I would say, Quavo's auto-tune singing on songs like Antisocial definitely wasn't it. He kind of stretches his vocal notes for too long. Apart from that, the verses were just they were overkill at some points. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the verses were way too long. I got to jump in and agree with you there. Sometimes, like, when you're getting a 4-minute track, like, okay, obviously, like, whatever it is, you could go through it. But, a big thing with this track list, and I feel as if hurt the artist performances, was just having like 19 different tracks at an hour and 15.
Yeah.
Like, clocking in at that time is that's a lot of time, and especially for a trap album. So a lot of songs felt like, okay, like it was just over dragged. Like, this verse could have ended at the halfway mark. Like, there was a couple of Offset verses where I was like, fuck, how long is he going over for? Like, it was like 2 minutes and a half of just straight rapping. And like, I think that was the sentiment, because around Culture 2, a lot of the critiques were like, it felt like unfinished. It felt like it was just plugged together and like just scraps. So I feel as if like they wanted to make up for that and wanted to give something more coherent. But that again, the reason why I think that, the artist performances are good is just because of the types of efforts they're putting in. I mean, if you're going through the first half of the project, like,
the first half is stronger.
The first half of the project, like Having Our Way, like the way, Offset and Quavo are just gliding on it, and the way Drake is able to come into here, and we'll talk about the features later
on.
But out of all the performances, who do you find had the best on this?
I would say Offset. I mean, his really rapid and quick paced flows were amazing all throughout, and I just felt like he really carried it. And not only that, but I love the energy and the confidence that you got off of Quavo's verse on Modern Day. It felt, similar to that original Culture vibe. It reminded me of a song like Get Right Witcha, where the charisma was there, and you just felt that, with his flow, he was guiding you through each lyric, and it mattered.
I loved how Quavo brought back old ad-libs. That was another thing that I enjoyed too, was that it had like that feel of a Culture verse, and Culture hooks at that, because Quavo did his thing on a couple of those. Even at that, the back and forth from Takeoff and Quavo on Type Shit with Cardi B was great as well. I love to see that dynamic chemistry going together. If you look at Offset's performance on Malibu, that was ridiculous as well. Like, I loved how he carried those two verses, and that was one of my standouts on the album. So I think we're gonna have to give this a good rating. It was just, they did their thing. You could always expect it from them, and they don't really miss when it comes to the flows or the cadences. So that's that.
Should we move on to features next or content?
I think we're going to go with features. Because it's such an important part in any Migos album. Always iconic features. So right off the bat, when you were looking at that feature list, how did you feel about it?
I liked it a lot, to be honest. I mean, there were obviously some people that were missing. One being Bobby Shmurda, who I was expecting to see on this. Apart from that, Travis Scott, who's been on both Culture 1 and Culture 2. I mean, I thought that he would make it for the final entry of this trilogy, but he didn't. But nonetheless, I mean, you got additions like JuiceWRLD. You got a Pop Smoke verse as well. You got the Drake reunion, which was great. So let's actually start off with that. How did you feel about Drake on Having Our Way?
I liked it. I really did. I mean, it was a completely different Drake flow than I've ever gotten. I love it whenever him and the Migos link up. I think Walk It, like, it depends.
Walk It, Talk It?
Is that the official track? Okay.
That's
because I didn't want to like say the full sentence and then after that I
kind of butcher it, yeah.
Yeah. So it's definitely like it doesn't even like compare to Versace or like the old remixes. No. It's nowhere near that. But it was a good verse though.
It was good.
It was a good feature.
He goes off for like 2 minutes. He starts off the song and he kind of like warms you up for like him hitting harder later on.
And not only that, but he gives you really good flow switches as well.
And the wordplay too, like load up the Drake, which of course refers to the Draco. That was cool. And also some standout bars like all of y'all have more followers than dollars. And it just felt like Drake was really in a different pocket, and he was rapping on kind of this calm and cool energy, and it was a great lead up to getting after the three verses from the rest of the Migos.
How did you feel about the Cardi B feature on Type Shit?
She killed it.
She did
honestly,
really well.
I've been kind of slandering her a bit. I think on the DJ Khaled album we were kind of not too big on her song there, but I mean she did her thing here, man. Honestly, she was the most menacing MC, I would say, on that song, which was kind of surprising, but
she went fucking
fit
hard.
Right in.
Not only that, but like she was on her boss shit. Like she was just talking about how she's doing more numbers than everyone, and like no one could really touch her. And I gotta agree with you, man. Like she was menacing, and she went really at it. Polo G's feature was nice too on Malibu.
That was nice.
It was really nice. Again, there's a lot of flow switches on this album, and that's what I like about it is that everyone's trying to keep it refreshing, and it was cool because Polo G had gone onto a production that's kind of out of his element and something I've never heard before, and I'm like, fuck, imagine if you would make a whole album full of these and kind of try and get on some different shit. But one of the biggest standouts for me is probably Future on Picasso.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the best features.
That was ridiculous.
And the way that like they seamlessly transition, let's say, from Future's hook and verse to Quavo's part, that was amazing. And you just get classic Future type of bars about how he has a bunch of Picasso paintings and just painting that picture of his lavish lifestyle, which is what you typically get from Future.
Absolutely. Even the Justin Bieber feature was nice, super melodic. He absolutely
glided
down. It didn't really do much, but it was like, okay, if he had to be on this track list, that's probably the way it would have gone down.
JuiceWRLD was such a standout. He hit his vocal notes, perfectly, and it was also cool to hear him on that sort of production where you had kind of the violin, and it kind of felt like Murda Beats was serving us an orchestra, which I'll get into later, but JuiceWRLD, fit right in. And honestly, my only complaint with that is that I wanted more.
That's true.
That's all I could say is that, JuiceWRLD really was really, gave one of the best hooks on the whole album.
That is true. That is very true. And I think that's why we're going to have to give this a good rating. The features were good. It was really good. It wasn't like great where, it completely changed the whole vibe of the album.
Or that they stole the track either necessarily.
Yeah, like everything was even. It was good. It was well placed. It did what it did, but it didn't necessarily like create more of a track list for me. And honestly, like I'd be super if they were to release a deluxe album, which I don't think they will, but let's say they do.
You don't think so? I think they will.
I don't know. It would be weird, but whatever.
It's just the formula right now.
They did their thing. But listen, let's move on to the content because this is, maybe not the most important component with a Migos album.
It's
but
not.
On the other hand, it's always nice to see the type of punchlines and flows, like, not flows, the type of punchlines and like rhyme schemes they're going to bringing in, and especially how like they fit in their words into certain melodies.
Okay.
Like, I like that too. But
look, to me, the major thing here is that it's like we haven't heard from them in about 3 years, and I'm not expecting crazy content matter, but like even if you look at the punchlines and the wordplay, for example, on an album like Culture, it was way more interesting than what we got here. Not only that, but like when you've been gone for 3 years, I'm not expecting you to tell me like, your deepest emotions and, what your mental health state is. I'm not expecting that at all from Migos, but I still want some updates. Like what have they been up to, if it's business ventures or just personal things. They didn't, bridge that gap of like, this is what we've been up to. this is the type of stuff that, we've been feeling and
There was
thinking.
no innovation within the content.
There was no innovation within the content at all, man. And it was the same shit song after song about, them racing in their Lambos or, the
absolutely.
whole bando thing. And it really gave me nothing new. And it got stagnant really quick for me.
That's the thing, is that like they could have gotten away with that sort of content for 13 tracks. When you have a 20-track album, like that's never going to work. And I think that's where it really caught me off guard, was that, okay, you give me 45 minutes of that, I could go through it and whatever, it's mid, but I'll let it pass. Like,
they made a whole song about a Birkin bag, man.
No, but like regardless, like it's just Migos, so I don't expect them to go crazy lyricism, but it's like an hour of 15 of that in a track list. That's a really tough listen.
But you see, the difference is that like the song Jane, like I said, is about that Birkin bag, but like they've done something similar, but made it way more interesting on a song like, T-Shirts, for example, where you're kind of rapping about one object as the main theme, but the delivery, the
brown
wordplay,
paper bag as well.
Brown paper bag's another example too.
So there was definitely there was a lot of room for improvement.
And then look, the whole COVID bars situation has to stop, man. I mean, Migos are not the only people that are guilty of this, but like they literally had a song named Vaccine.
Yeah,
it's too much, man. Like that shows me right there when you're rapping about quarantine and you're saying like, turn the pandemic into a bandemic on Straightenin. That just shows to me like you have nothing more interesting to say than talking about a fucking pandemic that everybody wants to move on from. It just wasn't it, man.
The content wasn't it. Like, whatever, it's still up to them, though. It is up to them. Like, obviously, the music is subjective, and they can put up, whatever they want.
Then sure.
Yeah, if people enjoy it, fuck it. But I think we're gonna have to give this a bad rating.
This is a bad rating. I'm sorry to say it.
No, like it was it's so tough giving bad ratings on reviews. But I mean, there's really nothing going here for the content. It was like, as I said, this could have passed as mid for me if they would have made this track list like 45 minutes.
Just tell me what you've been up to, man. I got no updates on them.
No, listen, I don't care about that. If they don't want to tell me about their life, I'm super all worried. But I'm more of like, it was too much for an hour 15. That's really where I'm at with it. Like, when we're talking about content and like keeping me engaged in the album, the second half of the album, like they low-key lost me off a lot of things. But regardless, whatever. Let's move on to the production, because this is going to be an extremely positive note of this review. And, the production is really, really, really well done. We were edging between amazing and good for this, but, obviously, like, amazing, it has to be absolutely mind-blowing.
Yeah, it has to be stellar.
There. Yeah, it has to be, like, really good production, and it was great. It was great production. It wasn't amazing. Like, it wasn't like out of this world sort of stuff.
I would say definitely the standout in terms of production is Avalanche, which was produced by DJ Durrell, and Quavo got a producer credit too. And obviously you had the sample of Papa Was a Rolling Stone, and the way that they were able to fuse jazz and soul sample into a trap song where the verses were really hardcore, that blew me away. And I'm like, this could be revolutionary if... Because this was obviously released as a single. So I heard this before hearing, the rest of the album. And I'm like, if they keep this up for more than one track, they can kind of, innovate once again and do something different and experiment. But obviously, this is kind of the only beat that has this. But this song in itself is an accomplishment, man. It blew me away.
That's true. Also, shout out to Gunboy on Picasso. That was a fantastic production as well. I have to also say shout out to Murda Beats from Malibu. That was another great production. Murda Beats also did Modern Day. That was another great one.
Antisocial, where, like I said earlier, it kind of sounds like you have this whole orchestra, you have the violins and these crazy instruments playing throughout.
Not only that, but you got a really high tempo beat on Jane, and regardless of the content matter, Takeoff absolutely fucked that up, and he really did his thing on there, and it was cool to see him coming back and doing it. So
OG Parker on Birthday, it's kind of gives you that EDM club type of feel, but
it's really nice.
It has a nice bounce to it.
It gives me some like old Chris Brown vibes, like that sort of vibes.
Facts.
Like that's definitely gonna hit my like. Birthday is obviously like not a top quality song on this album, but like when you get sauce, they could probably pass by. But yeah, regardless, the production is really good. It does its thing, and we were, as I said before, we were edging between amazing and good.
It wasn't stagnant. It wasn't repetitive. You know what I mean?
That's true too. That's what's impressive too, is that for a 20-song track list, it still felt refreshing.
Honestly,
excuse me.
This is the best part of the album. I'll keep it 100. Like, the production really kept me refreshed, and it made me look forward to each song that was to come, because when you lower down towards the end of the track list and the songs start being 4.5 minutes long, which I get it, they're three artists, they all have to have enough time to spit out their verses, but the beats is really what kept me engaged. I have to say, man.
Yeah, thankfully.
Yeah.
Thankfully, especially like how it was able to carry this hour and 15-minute track list. That's really what it did for me. But let's actually move on to the instant replay value. So this is, of course, where we talk about, is this going to stand the test of time and stay into our rotations? And
The short answer is no.
short answer is no. There's just, track list is way too long. There's way too many tracks. And to be honest, there is really high highs.
Let's actually, keep going.
I'm going to keep a lot of these songs.
What I was gonna say,
not a lot of them, but a good portion.
What I was going to say is, let's actually, for the first time, go through the track list, and I want you to tell me which ones you're keeping, and I'll do the same.
All right, let's go. Let's keep this going.
So, Avalanche, I'm
Absolutely.
saving that. Having Our Way, I'm saving it. That's two. Straightenin, okay.
I'll keep that.
Type Shit, probably not. I'll be honest. It was a decent song, but probably not. Malibu, I'll keep.
That's good.
4. Birthday, no.
No, it's not
Modern Day, 100%.
Absolutely.
That's 5. Vaccine, no.
No.
Picasso, sure.
Yeah.
Roadrunner, yeah.
Okay.
7. What You See, no. Jane, no. Antisocial, besides Juice's part, no. Why Not? Probably not. Mahomes, no. Handle My Business, no. Time For Me, no. Light It Up, probably not. So yeah, 7 out of 19.
Yeah, that's mid.
That's how many would stay in my rotation.
That's
man.
mid. It's not like I'm gonna have to go through this whole album and listen to it over
No,
again.
this is definitely an album where you pick certain songs out of it and
add it to your playlist.
Yeah,
sort of vibe.
that's
That's
what
why
it
it
is.
doesn't have the culture effect.
No.
It doesn't have
and
it. And
neither
that's
did
why-
Culture too. You
That's
know
true.
what I mean? So
that is true. The replay value did die down. Like
it sucks, man, that we had to end off this trilogy, which started off with so much innovation, so much energy. Like, they made a real splash, not only on the ATL trap scene, but just on hip hop in general, to a point where everybody started sounding like them and tried to mimic their styles. And now they can't really bring anything refreshing to the table. And to give an overall rating, we have to go with mid here, just because I feel like this album maybe had the same lyrical substance as something like Culture, but without the flair, if you know what I'm saying.
That
it
is
didn't
true.
have that same charisma. It didn't have that same hype. And it was just a letdown for me.
Yeah, it was. It definitely wasn't what I expected. For me, it was just, again, too long of a track list, too many tracks, way too many skips, and obviously the highs were highs. So that's a big thing for me.
100%.
They gave their all on the performances. Like, I really liked the effort they put into the album as well. Production was great too, but overall, like, this is something that's not going to stick with me.
Do you
like, for a
think that
long
this
time.
is the end of the Migos era?
I don't know. I gotta see. I gotta hear the next project, but I don't think they're gonna make another project.
You don't think so? You think they know their solo routes?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
It depends on the success of the project, I think, and how the fans react to it. But I mean, look, I'm still interested in new Migos music, because like you just said, the highs are high. Songs like Avalanche, songs like Modern Days, shows that they could still be one of the best rap groups out there if they really just change things up and trying to keep things fresh and new.
That is true. And listen, guys, if you enjoyed the album, all power to you. Obviously, our takes shouldn't affect if you're going to go listen to the album or enjoy it. But listen, guys, thank you for sticking all the way through.
Sorry, last question for you, man.
Oh, okay. He's going to introduce.
Yeah, I have
Let's
to.
go. No, go for it.
Because we made a video on it and we spoke about the comparison so many times. Polo G's Hall of Fame or Migos' Culture 3?
Fuck. Migos' Culture 3.
I got to go Polo G's Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel as if I'm going to revisit more tracks.
Okay, that's fair.
That's probably my only answer. But yeah, going back to that, guys, thank you so much for coming in. And
thanks for the support, guys, on the
absolutely.
reviews. It's always been great, and we love interacting and hearing your thoughts on the album. And we'll be doing this for every major drop this year. So if you haven't subscribed, stay tuned with us for more, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Thank you guys for watching the whole video. Hit that subscribe button to join the family. We're doing weekly reviews. We're giving you guys all the updates in the industry. Plus, we have our series called What to Expect, where we actually take you through the album before it drops. Plus, if you guys want to chat with us, you guys could join our Discord server. The link is in the bio. You guys could talk hip hop with us there. Thank you guys for watching again. And guys, I'll see you on the next one.